right, clicking the go live button. All right, I'm here. How's that? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey, Dean, can you hear me now? I'm going to shut the doors, honey. All right, I'm talking. Elaine Marolakos Edelson here. And we had a little bit of a tech glitch. Yeah, I just got the thumbs up from my husband. All right. When technology works, it's so good. I was rejected by technology. That's okay. I persisted. And I'll show you how you can too. We're going to be talking about astrology. No, we're not. We're going to be talking about rejection and transformational astrology. That's what we're all about here. Yay! We got it working. Okay, so let's start over. Elaine Marolakos Edelson with Astrology Mojo and Transformational Astrology. I want to help you get your mojo back. And what's the worst feeling in the world, aside from a really bad, stomach flu, I think, is emotional rejection. Let me just get comfortable here. All right, now, here's some really fun facts that you want to hear and know about. And that is rejection in the brain, in your brain, equals physical pain. Why is that? Well, the emotions, this is something I learned recently, that the emotions of rejection, no matter the source of the rejection, latch onto actual pain pathways in your brain. And it hurts. It hurts. And rejection can produce defensive or aggressive behavior. How many here, show me by show of hands or likes or thumbs up, or let me know that you're here. How many people here have felt rejected recently? I was just rejected by technology, but was I thwarted? No, we persist. We move on. It doesn't feel good. It physically makes you feel sick. And you know what it's like. Actually, the people who are rejected by someone that they care about can move into either a defensive position, a posture, or an aggressive posture. And it also depends on the circumstance. But a lot of times what most people do is that they want to run and hide. Or they find reasons to then attack someone else. But we're not going to do that anymore. We're gonna move away from that. We see enough of that on Twitter and in the news and sound bites. We're done with this, right? So have you recently been ignored by a spouse or a friend or a family member? Hi, Nick. Hi, Marilyn. So instead, and you know what that feels like. Well, now you know that your brain actually attaches that rejection, that feeling, onto a pain pathway, and you feel it in your body. And that sucks, right? We don't want to feel that. But there's ways you can move beyond it. Now, we've all been rejected at some point. And what I like to look at is the vow that you have made unconsciously or consciously because of a rejection that you made long ago. Experienced long ago, or you might have rejected someone else and had guilt because of it. But any kind of rejection, when you're a child, someone says no to you and you think that's the end of your world. No, I always wanted that toy. I always wanted that toy. You've heard these things from kids. I've heard them from mine. And you wonder, you're 3 years old. Why have you always wanted this thing? It's because that's the whole world. And when you reject someone or you are rejected yourself, you move into a place of self-sabotage. Did you know that? Well, when's the last time that you were rejected by a family member? Instead of wallowing in the pain, which is an actual physical pain, so I'm not minimizing that, instead of wallowing in the pain of rejection or stewing on self-pity and how you're not enough for the world, or how it triggers that original unconscious vow to do something but at the sake of yourself, you can start a conscious dialogue. And that's what I want you to start doing. I want you to start a conscious dialogue that offers clarity. All right? So instead of asking, let's say you ask someone for something and they say no. And it hurts and it doesn't feel good and you feel awkward and you're, oh, Christine's here and she made it. Hooray, I'm glad you made it. what you can do is, instead of asking why, why did you say that? Why did you, why can't you do this thing for me? Or why won't you? Or why did you do that? Instead of the why question, what you can do to really harness this feeling of being rejected is literally harness it, and you're going to transform it. And you're going to move into a what or a how to open up communication and offer the other person some power. Okay, so I want somebody here who's listening to give me an actual example of rejection. Who was rejected recently? Anybody? I'm going to take a little drink while you write in the comments section on the type of rejection that you recently experienced and how you felt about it. And what you might have done because of it. And in the meantime, I'm going to pull a card for folks on the topic of rejection. I just got through a whole week of eclipse sessions. They were amazing. We went to profound places. So if anybody here on this thread has had an eclipse session, please let other people know what it did for you, or how it helped you, or what you experienced. Because with all of the eclipses happening, we're still in the energy of them all the way through March for most people, and longer for some, especially if you have Leo or Capricorn prominently placed in your chart. Let's get to the bottom of who is rejected and why as I pull a card. But anyway, getting back to the eclipse sessions, they were so powerful that people really altered behaviors and were set on a new pathway. And that's my job. That's what I want to help you to do right now. All right, so, what a beautiful card. I don't think I've ever pulled it for the group before. And here it is. You see that? Love. That's the card, love. And love isn't something you do. Love is something you push aside when you feel rejected, of course, because you think that the rejection is stronger than love. Love is who you are. Love is your total essence. It's everything about you. You think that you're your thoughts or your feelings, but truly, you are pure conscious love. And that's what I want to help you get back to, and break those unconscious vows you have to suffer, to take on the burden, to never get ahead, to not get what you want. Are you tired of this already? Let's really move beyond these limitations. Now, getting back to rejection. Instead of couching a rejection in a why. Why did you do that? Why would you say that? Why is this happening? You can actually open up a conscious dialogue that transforms the rejection into something really positive and fruitful, and by using the words what or how. So instead of why did you do that, maybe the response to someone or the world saying no to you is, what can I do to help? What can I do to make things clearer? What is truly bothering you? What is it that you're thinking? How can I be part of the solution? Or how do you see things moving from here? What is it that's really going on for you? And I think that when you open up a conscious dialogue like that, especially, where most people feel rejection is in romantic relationships. Now, you could go out for a job interview and they say, no, thank you. We've picked another candidate, and you might feel mildly rejected, like, oh, darn, I was really hoping. But it's not a painful experience. Where we feel rejected is when we pour our heart and soul out to someone, where we have this expectation that they're going to treat us the way we've treated them, and then they don't. And the wound gets triggered. And that's emphasized by the Leo lunar eclipse right now. And, that's when the defensive behavior starts, or that's when you wall yourself off and become aloof, or you become aggressive and start accusing or blaming. And then the arguments begin, and there's no place to go when defensive behavior or aggressive behavior come into the picture. That's not a way to find a solution. Now, about 14 years ago or so, I developed an exercise or a method called the No exercise, N-O. And what I'd like to see you do is to start to adopt this weekly, monthly, often with a trusted person, so that you can get used to saying the word no in a healthy way. Because when we have a fear of rejecting others, we take on a burden. And that's service at the sake of ourselves. That equals denial. That's never going to help you. So what I'd like to see you do instead is to engage this exercise, and I'm going to tell you about it in just a minute, and to help you move toward this sense of fulfillment. And what card did I just pull? Love. And remember, love is not the action. Love is an expression based on who you are, who is pure conscious love. So that's who you are. So when you're coming from a place of love, you can set healthy boundaries. You can say no and not feel so bad about it that you then overcompensate. Or you can hear the word no and not be devastated and alter those pain pathways in your brain. All right. So here's the actual exercise. And it minimizes the effects of rejection so that you can then open up a dialogue in the what or the how phrase. What can we do to solve this problem? How can I be part of the solution? What is it that I can contribute to this situation? Or, you'll know more by what's going on in your personal situation. So, but here's the basic technique. So you find a trusted person and you get a timer, and you set the timer for 1 minute. Now, ahead of time, you know that this person is going to help you. And so they have written a list of questions. Might be awkward or kind of funny or ridiculous at first, but they have a list of questions, and the only answer is going to be, it's a yes or no question, but the only answer given is no. So you start first, and you start asking questions of your trusted person. And you might say, can I borrow $100? And they say no. And they might laugh because it's awkward. And you laugh. And how silly. But the clock is ticking, and we want to really get into this. So you keep going. Can I borrow your new shoes? No. Will you take me to the airport tomorrow? No. Will you, and then the questions can get a little bit more serious and more profound. Will you always be there for me? No. That's when you start to feel the pain of rejection. And you may only know this person for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, but when you ask them personal, profound questions such as, will you support me through everything, no matter what? And they say no. You get thrown back into your childhood. And all the little situations and rejections that you experience then are triggered. So then what do? You keep going until the timer beeps. And then you switch. And then they ask you all these questions. Their own, not the same questions. They ask you questions. And you're now saying no to someone. And they say to you, will you always care about me? And you say no. And it feels awkward to say it. And it feels awkward for them to hear it. But what it does is it helps you to start to minimize the fear of rejection, of rejecting someone else or being rejected. I once asked someone to marry me, and we had been together for many years, and he said no. And I just kind of swallowed it, and I said, yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, I get it. It's fine. But you love me, right? And oh, yeah, sure, I love you. But that's all I wanted to hear. And to me, love equated the next step. And the next step would have been marriage. But it never went there. And I would keep coming back to, but you love me, right? As the years and months progressed, I would say, but you love me, right? And this person would say, well, yeah. And I'd say, okay. So in my head, I had a definition for love. And this person wasn't fulfilling the role, but yet I didn't want to reject this person because then I felt I would be alone. So what are some of the reasons you might not stand up and set a boundary and cause that rejection and say no? Remember, this trusted person exercise of the no exercise is going to help you minimize the sensitivity to hearing no and saying no in healthy ways. And when you're rejected initially from way back, what happens is you start to transfer that to your own self-sabotage. Then you reject yourself by saying, oh, why should I apply for that job? Because, I applied last year and they said no, and this job is similar and they're probably going to say no anyway. So you minimize yourself. And then here comes this vow you make unconsciously to never get to where you want to go, to not, embrace that inner power that you are. You came here to do more than just watch TV and, tweet and, text and Snapchat. You come here to do more than that. And it's time for you to move beyond the self-rejection and that self-sabotage. So even though I finished up my solar eclipse readings, actually I have one more to go this week, I've opened up spaces for 4 more readings and 4 more sessions to help you. And Dean will post a link to help you move past your sabotage. Aren't you ready? Let's get beyond that unconscious vow so that you can see results and you can actually embrace the things that you love in this world, that you want to be doing in this world. And you can stop the self-rejection, which turns into self-sabotage, which turns into why bother. And the why bother is I'm not enough. And the I'm not enough has nothing to do with who you are, because you are pure conscious love, right? Just going to take a little sip. Still recouping from that illness I had a few weeks ago. Do you want to end the self-sabotage? I'm here to help you. Let's move you from fear to glorious success. That's what I'd like to do. So Amanda says, I spent the last year getting over a relationship breakup. I ended the relationship because of this issue, but I suffered quite badly because he couldn't be who I wanted him to be. And that's the hardest thing. When you have an expectation of someone to really be that thing, that's a twofold rejection, Amanda, because not only did you reject his lack of standard for you, you then were rejected by the person you wanted to be with. And so coming out of a relationship or something that severe, sometimes we feel like the rejection is daily and ongoing when the person ignores your needs and it builds to a crescendo. But really, it's important that you recognize that the decision that you made is all about synchronicity. It's all about knowing what you really need to move and to progress in the world so that you're not settling for second best or third. And a lot of people do. Remember that movie, As Good as It Gets, with Helen Hunt and Jack Nicholson? Sometimes, I look back on some of the relationships that I've had, romantic relationships in my life, and I thought, oh my gosh, that was the movie. I was ready and willing to settle for something that was not making me happy or not fulfilling me for just the tidbits of happiness that I would have on occasion from certain people. And, I look back and I think, what was I thinking? I could have had a V8 instead. All right. Christine said, my son just walked in and asked me to make him a sandwich. I said, no, sorry, this is me time. Good for you. Healthy boundary. No guilt. He was just rejected, but I'm sure he'll get over it because he's a grown boy. All right, let's pull another card. Talk to me, folks. What other rejections have you experienced? And why do you think you can't move beyond them? Your energy is constantly moving. Have you ever heard the term static electricity? It's almost like an oxymoron, because what happens is, especially in winter, in cold places, that when you move, all energy is constantly moving. And let's say you're walking across a carpet and you're building up electricity, and it technically it's not static. It's still moving, but it's building in one spot. And then when you make contact with the metal stove or the telephone or something, you get a shock that goes into your body. And so static electricity is not really static. It's just a buildup of energy, which is a lot like you holding in your rejections over time. So the more you hold in your rejection, the more you start to actually believe that you are not worth it, that you're not worthy of something, that it's hard. It's just easier to say yes to everything. Or not to set a boundary to someone because, you got to deal with everybody's emotions. And especially if you're a sensitive person, you don't want to take on their emotions because you're already dealing with your own, right? So this is what I'm talking about. But by removing the vow that you made unconsciously to not getting ahead, what is it that you find is the hardest about rejection? Aside from the physical pain that the brain pathways will produce, I think, and I've heard from clients for many years, that one of the biggest thing about rejection is proof that they are not enough. See, it must be true. They said no to me, so I got passed up for the promotion, or they didn't want to go out with me again or at all, or they didn't want my services. It must not be enough. And deep down, the core of the I'm not enough is perpetuated by your vow to serve at the sake of yourself. Now, I've got clients who are high-powered attorneys. I've got clients who are moms. I've got clients who are entrepreneurs in the financial world, in all walks of life. And let me tell you, don't think because you see glitz and glitter on a screen or in a magazine or in a book that people don't experience the same thing all the time. Fear of rejection. But what's your real desire right now? Especially harnessing the energy of these eclipses. The Capricorn eclipse is still in effect. And and I believe Christine, as she was talking about earlier, she actually quit her job on the day of the eclipse and now is opening up new pathways to a different career and healing herself and to get to that place. So what is it that you really want to achieve right now? By harnessing the power of these eclipses, you can ride a wave that it's phenomenal. And you put aside all the rejections and you say, I'm stronger than this. I'm not really these things. They don't define me anymore. It's up to you. You got to have that desire to move beyond that place. So let me hear from some people. Nick says he has Leo and Capricorn in his chart. Then you're going to be feeling this a lot as well. And, you don't have to have, everyone has Capricorn and Leo in their chart. But if you've got prominent placements, if you have Saturn in Leo, if you have a Capricorn rising or moon sign, if you have Mars in Capricorn, so if you have different planets in Capricorn or Leo, you will feel this even more. And all the way through March. And we're coming up on we're going to be talking in the weeks ahead about the Mercury in retrograde coming up in March, starting March 5th. But the pre-phase starts just after Valentine's Day. So as we discuss that, it's going to also add to the intensity of the eclipses. Now, sometimes the intensity is not, supercharged or kinetic, but it feels like, oh, yeah, I'm ready. I want to do this. I'm excited. And so how can you harness that? I was talking to one of my eclipse clients the other day who lives in a different country about using this energy to write because she's a writer. Actually, I have a few writers who are my clients. And for this particular gal, it was how to organize a structure. That's the Capricorn energy. How to organize a healthy structure for being productive in writing. And she was taking notes furiously. Like this was speaking to her, and she felt it. And at the same time, because she is a Leo, and this Leo lunar eclipse was saying, it's time to open up and allow flow. People, where are you stuck? Are you stuck with finances? Are you stuck with relationships, with health? Excuse me. Are you stuck with your purpose in life? People will ask me, oh, Elaine, what's my purpose? And I'll say, well, number one, your purpose is to become aware in as many moments as possible. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Well, For some people, it's not. I'd like you to become more aware in as many moments as possible, because every time you reject an opportunity that comes to you from the universe, you say no to yourself. You say no to spirit. You say no to pure conscious love. You say no. Then why else are you here if not to say yes to life and to start trusting in the process? So Dean, I believe he posted a link. I'd like him to again post a link to, I've only got 4 spaces left. I want to see you actually, get beyond the BS that you've held intact for years. And a lot of times people will say, well, it's not me. This happened to me or that happened to me. But look, people, everything in your life is there because of you. So some part of you might be thinking, yeah, I want to get ahead. I want to do this thing. But you're held back by something, an anchor to the past, an anchor to a rejection that created the wound that perpetuated your self-sabotage. And so sometimes we don't see it consciously. We're not always aware of it. That's my job. I go in like stealth bomber. Actually, I have a client who is a high-powered so-and-so, an arbitrage. And I said something once and he listened. He's very choice on words and doesn't say a lot. And he said, wow, you just cut through that like a samurai. And that's where I like to go. So you can get what you want and you can have the life that you choose. Let's make this an intentional life. So, yes, where does it show up? Where does it show up? Just click the button. Now, it should be on your page, or if you're on a tablet, you might have to scroll down. But Dean posted a link to get your solar and lunar eclipse reading. And I'm also including a little bit of the Mercury in retrograde and what it looks like for you to go within and to let go of certain things and how. And I will give you techniques on how to do that. So it's not just, oh, yeah, here's where it shows up in your life. Like for one client, the eclipse showed up in relationships. And this person is having a very profound time in understanding that every relationship in their life has looked the same. And now we're looking at possible separation. And it's painful. And there's a lot of realization going on with this person, but I gave techniques and methods to use, as well as the no exercise. So please incorporate that into your daily life. And this person is seeing results, and now they are feeling calmer. We have to look at things as a step process. It's like you want to make $1 million. Okay, great. What are your talents? How will you apply them? What's holding you back emotionally, intellectually? What do you think are the pitfalls or the sabotages? Once we clear that stuff out of your psyche, then here's 2 to 3 things to do, and so that you're not overwhelmed, and do these things, and you will see results. And you will, because that's what my clients see are results. All right. So any last comments about where you might have experienced rejection in your life? While I take my last sips. I'll be back on Wednesday at noon Arizona time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Any more comments or questions? Hey, it's Leslie. Leslie and I also have been chatting, and what a powerhouse. So many people that I've been reading or speaking with are powerful people. And again, you don't have to have a Leo sun rising or moon or Capricorn sun rising or moon, but where these eclipses show up in your life really give you an indication of what time it is. That's what astrology does, folks. It doesn't, remember, I say this all the time. If you're new to me, what I'll say to people, I should have said this up top, is that the planets don't do anything to you. That we live in a cooperation with the cosmos, so that when a planet makes a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets are reflecting that. It's like a blueprint. It's like me reading a printout of a lab test. But instead of looking at your blood work or where your iron is, I look at where's your motivation? What's sabotaging you? Where are the open doors that you're not looking at? And what exercises can you do daily? A lot of the women that I'm reading lately, and it's mostly women, I know you guys are out there too. So I'm not minimizing you. Please call me. Let's set up a session where how can I help you? And what can I do to help you get beyond this sabotage? But most of the women that I've been speaking with, such strong women who are taking it on themselves. And I'll talk about someone sometimes in a Facebook Live, and another client will say, "Oh, were you talking about me?" Because it's like, no, I wasn't. But you have similar issue to like 17 of my other clients. Because you women are taking it all on. We need to stop that behavior so that we can open up and set a healthy flow. That's what the eclipses will help you to do. Set healthy flow so that you allow love to move through you and give love, share it, and then let it come back your way. Why stop it? The question is, that's the rejection. The ultimate rejection of love is why stop it? And the answer is because you feel that you're not worthy. That's the answer. You feel that somehow you're not worthy. Hey, Leslie, you feel that you're not worthy. And, whatever lifetime that was ingrained into your brain, that pathway needs to end. So you've heard me talk about neurons, right? You've heard me talk. In fact, let me show you. These are what your neurons look like if you are new to me. Okay? Well, not your personal neurons, but this is what it looks like in your brain. And you see the electricity, it's like a hand that has the central information and all the tentacles come out and they give birth to other neurons with the same information that you give it. So if you're telling yourself, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, it's not going to happen, oh, maybe next time, oh, why bother, it already exists. Why blog? There's a million blogs out there. Why write a book? There's already a million memoirs. Okay, so then why else have you come to this world? You want to ask yourself this question. Why have you come? To experience life, to take risks, to move the joy that comes through you and share it with other people and make your contribution. If you're always looking to just, what can I do to help others, there's no real flow. Or if you're the opposite and you're thinking, oh, this has to be about me, and what can I do now, and what about me, and what about me, and what about me, then you're not making the contribution. So the flow needs to happen. We need to have this kind of flow so that we share, and then we evolve as a race of being. But just coming down to earth, everyday stuff, you're working hard, you've got family, you've got laundry, you've got bills to pay. In between the moments where you're busy, and you set up your busy lifestyle, I want you to stop and take a few deep breaths and ask yourself, am I pure conscious love? And the answer is yes. Am I willing to share it? That's up to you. I would like to help you do that. So think about that and book your session, and we'll move forward. And then there's always going to be the next moment. So when you find enthusiasm in one moment, I want you to take it, inhale it, exhale it, share it, and come back to, what am I about to reject right now? And as I said to some of my clients this week, you want to make a very short list of behaviors that you are no longer willing to accept in yourself or in other people. So make a list of those behaviors. Someone's acting childish, someone is having a temper tantrum, and they're 52 years old, and you say, well, now let me just take it on. Let me help you because, we can just ignore all this stuff and, not get wrapped up in the melodrama. No. You want to set a healthy boundary. You want to say no, right? Come back to that no exercise and the no method that I talked about earlier. And it's not hard to do. Got to be willing, right? And it's going to be profound, because then what happens is suddenly stuff starts coming your way. And it's not just going to be a little at a time. It's going to be flow. So you would like flow in your relationship, then be willing to have it move through you and take onus of your own responsibility. What are your behaviors? Take onus. Own it and say, you're right. I was really defensive, or I have been very, fill in the blank. I've been very aloof. I've been very controlling. I've been very, sad. I've been very, whatever it is. And then move into that conversation stage with the what or the how. So what can we do from this moment on to help heal things? How can I make a contribution that is, helpful to the situation? What is it that you need? And how can we work on this together? This is what we want to look at. First, you look in the mirror and you say, how can I do these things for myself? So that the moment you are ready to be creative and just burst free, you don't stop yourself. There's no sabotaging. Or the moment you want to be free in a relationship, you can say to someone, I just want to grab you and hug you and kiss you. But, there's all these restrictions. Oh, it's in public. It's not the right time. They don't want me. It would seem weird or crazy. I remember being with our daughter Aaliyah when they were about, 5 or 6. We were in the supermarket and they were sitting in the carriage, in the shopping cart. And it was one of those, I needed to break free moments. Like I needed one like never before, and moms will understand this, or stay-at-home dads will understand this. And I said, how about we race? We race to the end of the aisle and turn the corner. And so we just started racing. And I said, okay, what do we need? What's on the list? We need milk. Where is it? Turn left, well, we started laughing so hard. And that was the best shopping day experience I've ever had. I broke free in a moment and I stopped the limitation because I needed to do something different. Energy is always looking to advance, to move. What do you want to do with your energy? That's the question. Well, I'm here to help. So click on the link and I'll be back on Wednesday with hope. Between now and then, you will not have rejected yourself and the self-love that you are. And you're going to put it out into the world. And we're all going to feel better. All right. Thanks. I'll see you then. Be well. Be sparkly. You are.